Hello, it's Phillip Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers. I'm talking about a book which all lawyers need. It's called Clarity for Lawyers. There's a picture of it here. It's in a second edition now, published by the Law Society, written by Mark Adler, given this the subtitle Effective Legal Writing. It's an excellent book. It's not a particularly big book, but it's certainly an excellent book for everything you need with the skills that you require in the modern society for advising clients. It's appeared in many different publications as a review, and I've given it the title A Better Life with Adler's Plain English. And as I say, it's a book which I think you should please tell all your legal friends about, because they need it. It'll give clients confidence in what you do and in the legal profession generally, because we do have a reputation for being rather pompous, and obviously the reputation extends to bad writing, and traditional legal writing obviously can become a bit of a bad habit if you're not careful, requiring some basic simple modernisation so that the clarity of thinking comes through, and this is where the book comes in. It's very good for students obviously as well as practitioners. I gave a subheading to one of the paragraphs I wrote. I said read it through. Read it straight through, because you do need to get the overall picture of what we are needing to achieve with our clarity of writing today. So Adler on Clarity, as I call it, is a book where you start at the beginning, and in fact look at what he says. He says this book is intended to give lawyers a better life, and he does just that. Now I know Mark Adler, and we've been in quite a lot of correspondence because this book is popular. It's a good bestseller with the Law Society, and rightly so, because it covers the sorts of points that we need in the 21st century. So it does give you a better life, and the book succeeds, in my view, in giving this better life brilliantly and in a friendly manner. He draws from highly authoritative sources to make the various points in the book, including comments from people like Professor John Adams and people like Lord Bingham, whose acute observation is quoted, saying, "You cannot write clearly unless you know clearly what it is you want to say." Absolutely right. Now, what about the structure of the book? It's got 5 sections, basically starting with a very interesting one: what's wrong with legal writing, alternative ways to communicate. Then it leads on to how to make legal writing more effective, the common law rules of interpretation, and a plain language workshop. And each section builds up to provide a detailed guide to effective legal writing with what I've termed a robust indictment of traditional legal language, because the language is changing, especially with the internet, and we've got to be in there to know what information we have and how we construe the meaning of words. The key, therefore, is plain language, which provides successful communication with clients, colleagues, and the world in general. I always remember Lord Ramsbottom saying it's much better to do that rather than that, because clearly communication is about talking. So it's plain language, not pomposity, which prevents ambiguity and mistakes, to save your firm both time and money, as well as expressing a message effectively and in an approachable manner. I was interested actually in particular, especially in this new edition, on emails and websites, because there's no doubt that this is an area where we're going to be looking at it with the next edition in greater detail, because the email is changing the face of what we do. So I see Clarity as a publication to be recommended in many publications such as Which magazine and so forth, plus all the consumer groups who are trying to get us to express ourselves properly. I think probably the greatest benefit to lawyers is the working examples that are given throughout, showing how legalese can be rewritten into plain English. And it's actually not that difficult if you just use a little bit of thought. Just reading some of the old law reports, for instance, illustrates the changes, and Mark Adler attacks what he calls inflated language, and it's well placed here. I like the conclusion that he has in his preface, for instance, when he refers to, quote, the robust attitude from the trial bench, which we've all suffered, of course, which he hopes will, quote, soon force the offenders to abandon their affectations. And he's right, because it's just the way it is with the media. You know, they have, who are the Beatles? Popular musicians, my lord, that sort of thing. Whereas, you know, we all know the Beatles are a pop group, the Rolling Stones are. And so you've just got to have a little feel for a bit of sensitivity. Now, if the reader doesn't look at any other chapter, what I suggest you do is read chapter 20 on choosing words. It's always the dream, for instance, of examiners with their itchy red pens to delete, prune or trim what isn't necessary when marking a paper. I know I do it when I'm marking your graduate exam papers. Adler shows us what to do to erase gobbledygook, and as I say, certainly with people who are doing graduate, postgraduate courses and so on, it's important to make sure you get it absolutely right, because attention to detail is the trademark of the good lawyer. I think he gets full marks for what he's done. So thank you very much, Mark, for an excellent contribution to the study of 21st century English language. Let's make this book work as a set book for all learners in the future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.